coach over there, the team captain, benching himself, stepping into the coaching role. We've seen Trigger Happy have a lot of success. They took down NG Blossom. They've looked really strong. And, going right into draft, I think we're going to have to see maybe a Bard takeaway. Whether you pick it for Xylandis or, you kind of ban it. It's been really strong, as we already see Karthus, Riven, and Olaf coming out again.
But the Morgana ban coming out from Trigger Happy, maybe trying to take that away from Xylandis and Klepto. As we saw, Klepto had a pretty, decent performance coming out.
I feel like that's a little bit of the AD carry complaining there, man. Let's think about bottom user dying to the gank early on from the binding. At the end of the game, burning down in the jungle to the Morgana binding. But overall, smart ban on the Galio. Finally kind of taking... And there's the Bard takeaway, too. So we see them ban away the Galio mid-pressure from Ashawn. And Xylandis has played Bard before in ALS, and we know he can play it, so it's good to take that away from Noob. Get him off the Bard. You don't have to... Hopefully he doesn't feel pressured to have as big of an impact as we saw from Noob. He just has to play it well, but we do see an Ashe from the side of Trigger Happy, and like Brown was mentioning, one of the stronger AD carries.
So we see the Bard taken away, given to Xylandis. We see the Ashe taken for Trigger Happy on the bottom user, and then the Graves picked up once again for Games in My Hand. Games in My Hand on the Graves was extremely impactful and extremely strong in the game 1. And, maybe we can see it coming into game 2 now that he has his Ashe. But we have a Wukong picked up for Glacial Rising Phoenix. Extremely strong in almost every position you want to play him in. What are your thoughts on that, Jake? What's your thoughts on the Wukong pick?
I hate it, but that's me. I strongly dislike Wukong because I feel like he lacks everything. I feel like his early game's not strong enough to pick him, and then his mid and late game, just pick Orin instead, personally. But if it's going to Joey Desu, I might like it because he's one of their stronger players, and seeing him maybe have more impact in that mid game would be nice. I could be going to Klepto as well in the jungle. His champion pool, we've seen his Karthus is pretty much his most played. He'll play a little bit of Elise, but we don't see Elise too much in competitive right now. So we don't really know what to expect from him, right? He's kind of the wild card in this series, as he's the player that we've seen the least of out of everyone. And Thresh going over for Noob as, his second most played, and it's equally as impactful as his Bard typically. So I think the support roam matchup once again might be, who can really roam with their jungler the best, as we've seen a lot of success from Noob in roaming with his mid and jungler and impacting the map. And we see a Poppy pick, once again, is safe, just farm up tank top laner up there. And they've banned away the Jace. So we're going to have to see, where's this Wukong going, and what are we blind picking mid here into Ashawn?
Well, the safe pick's going to be definitely the Ornn for Joey Desu. We talked about how it's a really safe and impactful top laner. And the blind pick for Skiz is going to be Cassiopeia.
That champion's strong.
Pretty strong.
But that is one of its counter picks, is Xerath. I was going to say, I don't think Ashawn really plays assassins, and picking something like Zed would not be the best with already full AD. But one of Cassio's weaknesses is her range. She is a short range, kind of the same range as like Lucian and Vayne. Very easy to kite, but short range. So if you have a Xerath, you're outranging her in lane with your poke, so you can kind of poke her from afar without ever taking damage yourself. So I really like the pick, especially since Skizz last game struggled so much, right? We found him 0-4 early on in the game. We had Noob roaming there, him dying to ganks, constantly kind of overextending. And if we see that again, in this game, instead of the overextensions, we might see tower dives again, like last game a little bit in that mid game, where where they threw 3 people at the tower dive, and Graves misses everything and they're still getting the kill. We could see that again with how the Xerath matchup works for Cassio.
So looking now, teams locked in. We have Ornn versus Poppy, extremely strong area denial, team fight, strong top lane picks.
Top lane is an island.
in the Graves in the jungle. You know, personally, I'd say the Graves wins that matchup pretty well. You know, borderline, it's a really strong pick into the Wukong just because Graves has so much early tempo and so much damage, which Wukong really doesn't have early unless he gets a couple of really good flanks and really good picks. But the rest of this, rest of the map is looking, it's going to be very skill dependent. While we do have the, counter pick of Xerath into this Cassiopeia in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Trigger Happy kind of coming out with, it's more of a solo queue almost. It's still very team fight based, Xerath ults and stuff like that. But the Wukong pick that I didn't like, it does look a little better now. They only picked it when they saw Ashe. And, Poppy does have the W denial. We do have Thresh Lanterns, Graves Blind. We do have a lot of tools. But when we see Ornn ult, Bard ult, and Wukong ult, and you have Ashe Xerath, it's a lot of ways to get on those very immobile damage threats. And if we see them get on these immobile damage threats, Graves is not going to be able to kill Cassiopeia and Ezreal. So if Wukong is able to actually solo out these two carries with the help of the Ornn ult and some Ezreal damage over the top, I mean, the fight is going to go very hard in the favor of Glacial Rising Phoenix.
So, looking in the early game, what does Glacial Rising Phoenix need to do to make sure that it doesn't, what happened in game 1 does not happen again? Do they need to play safe, or do they need to put some more aggression out? What do you think is going to work better now that we have this champion pool change to reflect their playstyle?
Typically, we talk about jungle tracking. This is what I would call troll the noob tracking here. If we can maybe ward our river or at least track his roams, it's gonna look a lot better. Because if we can stop him from roaming with the jungler and punishing Skiz early game with these 3-man plays like they did last game, it'll go good. Once again, though, I think Wukong kind of loses those early game skirmishes to Graves, like you said. And when you combine that with the counter pick mid lane and the potential to have a support there, I mean, it's very dangerous for the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix early in this game if they find themselves at all 2v2ing around that mid lane. Cassio is strong. If they're able to get on Xerath, then they'll win the 2v2. But before Wukong is 6, if it's like a level 5 jungle and level 6 mid laners, it's a very scary 2v2 coming out of the mid lane.
And with this, we're getting ready to load right into this game. Glacial Rising Phoenix down by 1 after that, really dominant performance coming out from Trigger Happy in game 1. And I'm ready to see if they can bounce back and regain some of that momentum.
Yeah, and I think Trigger Happy has always looked best with the Sean on the AoE team fight, like roaming mid champions. We've seen him, I want to say we've seen him play the Malphite mid. I do believe he was the one that picked it in the very first game with Wundle on Jinx and Games in My Hand. And then we've seen him play a lot of Galio. And when he's playing these kind of roaming mids, these AoE fighting mids, we really see the team have success. And while Xerath is more of a control poke mage, it can't be understated. He still does have his ultimate, right? And that range does add up. And you can effectively roam to a lane if you're able to hit the Xerathars, right? Like 3 or 4 Xerathars late game especially start really chunking 80 carries. Early on into the game, it's like 300 to 400 damage potential coming out. So we'll have to kind of see what the Xerath does. As we see once again, Trigger Happy looking for maybe an invade.
And they're walking straight up, and they can see Skiz right here as he's trying to get away. Flash forward by Troll the Noob, but it's not going to connect as Skiz flash is also forced.
And it's a flash for flash. So now, Skiz, who got punished really hard last game, flashless for the first, 5.5 minutes of this game.
So how does he need to play now? Ishan's going to be looking to try to call up Troll the Noob and maybe in Games in My Hand, trying to abuse this flashless Cassiopeia. He needs to sit back and ward appropriately and play very safe in these upcoming few minutes.
Well, the scary thing about this matchup, Pasta, is that Cassio doesn't want to be the one getting pushed in, right? If she's playing safe, Xerath's poking her from far away, and she's going to be consistently low on HP. Whereas if you're the one controlling the wave and pushing the wave in, then you're able to kind of force him to walk up to the minion wave and kind of fight you, or at least use his Qs to farm from far away instead of poking you. So if she's doing that, then she's pushing up with no flash and very likely to die. But we do see Wukong's actually warded out on the blue buff, so they do know where Wukong is going for this entire first 4 minutes of the game. You should know that he's going to be pathing bot side. And from there, I mean, you can really read most of what he's going to do for these first 4 minutes.
And with the same start of the junglers now, Games in My Hand's going to be, able to track him very well like you talked about, and able to make his decision appropriately as where he needs to either meet or avoid Klepto on this Wukong.
Yeah, and we do see a ward on Games in My Hand's blue buff from the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix. They did put that ward there, but it did just expire. So if Mr. Grave here was to change his whole path and randomly go topside for a gank, they wouldn't know till he shows up. Now that's not likely, as he would lose way too much XP from his jungle camps and things like that. But there is potential for him to kind of make a little bit of movement. Like you were saying, read the jungle, know where Klepto is, and kind of meet him there. And now he's even going to show on this bot Tribush ward. And, he's done, they're both about the same in clear. Wukong's actually ahead by 1 camp already. But there's no Scuttle Crab that's spawned quite yet. So we might see an early fight at this bot lane Scuttle. Because like you said, both junglers started same side of the map. And now they're both meeting on the same side of the map.
Now you can see Joey Desu trying to do what he can, play very safe. Skiz had to force up that wave like you talked about, but now we have Games in My Hand and Troll Noob walking up and forcing Klepto towards his mid lane. Good clone picked out. Xylanda's trying to do what he can, trying to get some slows, but Bone Plating is going to be able to soak a lot of that damage. Good rotation, but also really good playmaking by the side of Trigger Happy.
Yeah, and we see Wukong was able to get the Scuttle, and now he's going to look to maybe go for a double Scuttle. However, his top laner does have no lane priority right now, and mid lane's not really the best of shape, as they already taken some trades. And as soon as I say that, we glance top lane, and Poppy's getting herself chunked to like half HP by Orin. And now he might actually get double Scuttled, as we see a huge collapse coming out here.
Oh, Joey Desu's trying to get away, walking away slowly, gets the nice little charge forward, and he's trying to create, hey, good flash coming out from Joey Desu and Mayeki as well.
Yeah, we see Poppy, they flash simultaneously. Poppy going for the flash stun, Ornn knowing it's coming and flashing away. But Games in My Hand is able to pick up a Scuttle, so he didn't get double Scuttled. But we do see Eshan roam, and because of that, he's going to find himself down in some gold as a good hook from Troll Noob comes out.
And now Xylandis is going to have to portal away in order to try to prevent some of that kill pressure coming in. And so much damage on a Xylandis from a good hook from Troll Noob.
Yeah, and neither of these games have disappointed in the fighting early on.
It's so much damage coming on Epic Tail Guy. Epic Tail Guy forced to flash away, but here comes the TP coming in from Skiz. Skiz now trying to catch up.
Almost got canceled.
Joey Desu trying to just do what he can, soak some of the damage, but Games in My Hand is here to pick it up. Unstoppable, by the way, but he just can't, as Games in My Hand will pick up first blood onto Joey Desu.
Yeah, and we saw bot lane, they were able to kind of squeeze away there, very much just escape by the skin of their teeth. Cassio did TP down, and I was just talking about how she was farming and building XP and gold lead, and now that she TP'd away, it kind of just evens right back up. Xerath did try to stop the TP, was unfortunately unable to. But the TPs, Brown talked about them on the analyst desk, how they're going to be used to really affect the early and mid game, and we see kind of, it's a protective TP, and it does save the life of, the bot lane, but it was unfortunately unable to get a kill, which it was really hoping to pick up a kill there, maybe even a double kill. But we do see the Poppy and the Graves getting those first kills, like you mentioned, top lane. And this Ornn was kind of winning the matchup. We did see him being able to chunk the Poppy, and now, it should be a little better for Poppy. Ornn still has kind of an XP lead. The big thing is Ornn doesn't have TP for this dragon fight. So we have no TPs on the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix here. And Trigger Happy's already going to look for the early dragon once again with the Graves.
You know, games in my hand extremely powerful on this Graves, and now Glacial Rising Phoenix is kind of forced to come up onto the backside of this. A really good hook on the Klepto. Klepto's force already down to half HP. These top laners just going at it back and forth, trying to fight. Ornhorn coming out, looking onto Mayeki. Mayeki's trying to get the knockup, but he goes through, and Klepto steals the Ocean Drake. Mayeki's forced down by Joey Desu. Huge play for Glacial Rising Phoenix. Hook comes out and lands on Zylandis. Zylandis forced to flash back. So much damage. Games in my hand, flashes forward. And now Skiz is looking for blood and picks up the kill on the Troll the Noob, but bottom user coming up from behind, trying to see what he can do to pick up some damage. Comes out and double kill over to Games in my hand. Games in my hand is trying to run away now. Klepto coming in fast, but he's stunned up, and here goes Mayeki looking to run down, picking up the kill onto Klepto. Amazing play from both teams as the Drake went over to Glacial Rising Phoenix, and so much chaos and so much, you know, aggression from both sides of the team. Excellent play from both sides.
And man, Klepto with the huge steal, but unfortunately he's not level 6, man. If the Wukong there is level 6, we might see a completely different fight. We did see Games in my hand picking up 2 kills, you know, and I was talking about the TP difference, and Joey Desu responds by kind of getting a solo kill up there like we saw. Getting a solo kill up there, but unfortunately, the fight was so long that Mayeki was able to just TP into the fight and able to pick up, you know, a kill on the backside of it. But, you know, it is a dragon going over to the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix. So, we're going to have to see if they're able to kind of use this to their advantage, right? It's an ocean. It's going to help them with lane a little bit with some sustain. And the big thing is you're delaying soul. So if you're in a bad position, you know, you can give up 1 or 2 dragons, right? You're not forced to fight for every dragon in the game. And if the next dragon comes around and you're not on your power spikes, or, you know, someone just takes a bad recall timer, you're actually able to give it up. It's always big to just kind of steal away a dragon you weren't meant to have. As Graves is going to start up potentially a Rift Herald, decides he'd rather go for a gank on the top side.
Joey Desu spots him out with a really good ward, and with that he's going to charge away, and just wasting more time out of Games in my hand. Good hook onto Epic Fail Guy. Arcane Shift just went, you know, just a little bit too late.
Yeah, nothing's going to come of it as he knows he's level 4 going into a 1v2. Not the best idea, as we do see Klepto potentially looking for a gank bottom. But all this River Vision with the double pinks really stopping him, and this allows Games in my hand to finish his Rift Herald with ease. But we do see Skiz kind of sniffing it out, potentially walking up there, but it's too late. It's already gone. And, you know, your jungler's looking bot lane for a gank here.
And Troll the Noob, Ignite coming down, and Chain of Crystal are going wide. Zylandis picks up the kill on the Troll Noob, and now Klepto's coming out, trying to spin him up, and he knocks him up twice. Stun goes wide, but now here he comes. Epic Fail Guy picks up the kill on the bottom user. Really good gank coming out by Klepto, and excellent play as well from Epic Fail Guy Zylandis to pick up those 2 kills.
And I think bottom user was aiming for his mid laner there or something. It says arrow just goes into Narnia. He has certainly been looking like the weakest link, I would say, from the side of Trigger Happy, and, you know, it's a good play down there. I'm kind of questioning what Trigger Happy were doing, right? As we see potentially another fight break out.
Klepto forced low, and he has to instant clone away. But Games in my hand was just not able to pick up that kill as it came out just a little bit too late on his ultimate there.
Yeah, I'm still kind of questioning what Trigger Happy were doing as a blind hook to just stop a recall from Troll the Noob. But it's one of those, you know, you just saw the Wukong clearing both your pink wards in the river, your jungler's top lane just finished Rift Herald, and you just walk back up in lane like you didn't just see the enemy jungler kill your pinks. You know, they kind of give them the old, you're not going to gank me, goodbye, walk up, and then they just die. But it is a good play from Klepto, right? They were able to at least get something back for losing Rift Herald for free.
So looking at these 2 teams now, we have a 400 gold lead in the side for Glacial Rising Phoenix. You know, a couple kills on the Epic Fail Guy. Really good team pressure overall. What do they need to do in order to make sure that they maintain this little bit of momentum they have as they scale up into this game?
They just need to keep doing kind of what they've been doing. This game, Troll the Noob has not had an impact, right? He's 0-2-2. We do see Graves.
Games in my hand now going on to Skiz. Skiz trying to see what he can do to get away, but Games in my hand just did so much damage. and was able to pick up that kill basically for free.
Yeah, that's a really good play from Games of My Hand, kind of reading the map, looking at the Casio potentially roaming, sits in the bush, and the Casio does indeed go for a roam, and now we're going to see the Rift Herald dropped.
And knowing that
first tower
Klepto would try to respond, they were instantly waiting there and had a pretty good hook onto him and able to kind of, you know, stop his rotation, and more plates are going to be picked up, and that means a free Drake over for Trigger Happy.
Yeah, they're going to get a Drake here. Ornn is TPing for some reason. It's like they're trying to force a fight that they can't possibly take here. But they do have a little bit of a pinch.
Horn coming out, trying to see what he can find. He knocks up Troll the Noob. Klepto's seeing if he wants to go wide, but he can't make the decision quite yet. Joey Desu goes in, but he's going to get stopped by the Poppy. Ultimate comes out from Ishan, trying to just poke him out, trying to make him, you know, decide not to keep going forward on this fight.
Yeah, just a lot of resources thrown in for honestly nothing. You know, it's certainly questionable. The dragon's kind of already gone. Like, what are you even fighting for at that point? How about we save our cooldowns for a better opportunity? And he probably could have gotten maybe the whole top tower, but at the very least down to one plate up there, get a whole bunch more gold in your Ornn's pocket, some more soul XP to build, the XP gap. Because we haven't even really talked about, Ornn items coming in level 13, 14, 15, just that huge spike that the Ornn can get when he can upgrade his own items. Some of the most gold efficient items to upgrade with your Sunfire and the Abyssal Mask getting upgraded. And instead of, getting the XP lead, getting the gold lead, he TPs down, they try to force it, and, they just don't get anything for it. Well played to the side of Trigger Happy to take the dragon and kind of get away cleanly.
These top laners are just going back and forth, trading left and right. And, it's just basically a wet noodle fight in the top lane between these two huge tanks.
Yeah, and that's where Ornn has been really coming out on top. And, the big thing has been that one jungle gank we saw that is kind of the decider and why Poppy's still able to hold their own, as we just see Wukong coming up here.
He's going to get knocked away by the Poppy ultimate. Really good ability by Mayaki to hold the ultimate back and wait for it to come through, but here comes Games in My Hand trying to come through, put so much damage out, forcing so much damage, flash forward onto Klepto, and he's going to pick up that kill onto Klepto. So much damage and so much movement speed with the phase roast combining with the oh, Jake, you know the word, but I can't think of it right now.
Nimbus
They're just
Cloak.
trying to force Joey Desu away. Yes, Nimbus Cloak.
The nerfed Nimbus Cloak is still good, by the way, guys. It's still pretty good.
And now Ishan trying to pick up a kill onto Skiz. Skiz was taken low, and here he comes. Huge damage coming out by Skiz. The Skiz is going to pick up the kill on a Troll.
Oh no. Troll to noob. If you're not playing Bard, buddy, you can't ult the tower this time. They tried to say, Skiz, remember last game where we towered off you? And Skiz goes, yeah, what about it? And just turns around and kills the poor little Thresh. Poor guy probably still thinks he's playing Bard. But like you were saying, it's a good play coming out from Graves, and the last game, even though you were saying he had a strong performance, I think part of it was getting a little carried. He was doing a lot of damage. It didn't look as impressive, but this game he's certainly impressing on the Graves, as Ornn is able to take the tower, but should lose his life up here to the Poppy.
He's just trying to get away. This Poppy's just running him down. Joey Desu trying to see him get away. He flashes forward, going to the reaction of Mayaki's flash, and now he's creating so much space. Ornn coming out, but it might be it would have decided his life. And Mayaki picks up the kill on the Joey Desu.
The backwards Q from Poppy. I thought it was going to cost the kill, but Joey Desu still going down. And once again, Poppy goes for the flash stun, and Joey Desu is ready though to instantly flash it. But he's still able to pick up the kill. And honestly, not worth getting that tower because, you have to think about what's on the map. So he gets the tower, but at what cost? He loses his life, and now they lose Rift Herald for it.
Now we see a lot of really strong vision set out by Trigger Happy along the top side of the map. And that's what allows him to get these really strong objectives, these Rift Heralds, just back to back, because they have so much control. They understand the limits. They make the correct decision-making skills and the play onto Joey Desu, which allowed it to get him basically for free. Really strong performance coming out of Trigger Happy.
Yeah, and it's certainly impressive. And what we have to look at now is, Graves is extremely strong, right? He's sitting on, close to 1700 gold here. He's looking, very aggressive, trying to make some plays. They still have Rift Herald up. You have second dragon for one of the teams about to spawn. Third dragon in the game. Who's going to really get this second dragon? It is a mountain, and I think that's very big. We have Mountain Soul this game. So whichever team is getting this mountain is going to have triple resist. As Bard R did come out in an attempt to catch out Ishan and was unable to.
But now you can see that Ishan was also replying back with that Rite of the Arcane, trying to just force Epic Tail Guy away, and that's going to be a free Drake over for Glacial Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, and we see that's a really good play coming out from Glacial Rising Phoenix, able to group up and take this dragon, because we really need these mountains stacking up, especially if we see Epic Tail Guy go towards this Iceborne Gauntlet to deal with Graves. If he's able to stack up this, resistance times 3 from Mountain Dragons here, it's going to be really impactful. But he is going for Trinity Force instead of Iceborne Gauntlet. So he's opting for more damage instead of, trying to play a little safer and getting the extra value from Mountains.
Good decision by Joey Desu there not to try to go save that tower, as he knew it was getting down just a little bit too low. Games in my hand was ready to react in case Joey Desu did come for the defense. Smart play by Joey Desu there, realizing that, hey, it's just a little bit too late now and I can't defend it.
Yeah, and this Rift Herald is halfway through its lifespan, a little over half, and we're going to have to see, where are they going to really drop this? Because if you look at the towers left on the map, we're now down to, tier 2 towers for the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix. And if they're able to break open a tier 2 mid or a tier 2 bot lane, it really sets up a tone for this game, hitting that mid-game spike.
So what's the best way they can kind of influence this? Do they need to kind of pull more of Glacial Rising Phoenix members towards the bot side of the map and try to open up? Or do they need to kind of, switch the momentum around and try to get this Rift Health ready?
I think the big thing is just trying to be, keep farming your side lanes, but keep trying to be ready for this Rift Herald play. Both sides definitely want to see some aggressive plays with this Rift. You have a Bard, so you should be able to Bard ult the tower that the Rift Herald goes for, and really just deny completely the ability to kind of break open some of these towers. And if you can make this Rift Herald kind of nullified, that's going to be the most important thing at the moment. We don't have really any potential for this 20-minute Baron, and Mountain Dragon's still 3 minutes away.
Epic Fail Guy, getting closer and closer to finishing off this Triforce. I think a big thing of why he might be going towards this Triforce instead of the Iceborne Gauntlet, like we talked about to save from the Graves, might be just because he wants to get that upgrade from the Orn.
Well, you can upgrade Iceborne Gauntlet too. It goes from 65 armor to 90, and you get an extra 120 mana, I want to say. With the Orn upgrade coming out on that, because it's one of the more underutilized items to upgrade. But Frozen Fist is still a strong Orn upgraded item, especially against the team that's got the Graves.
Here we go, like we talked about, and the gate from the Tempered Fate is going to just basically nullify that entire thing. But here we come, the Ornhorn coming forward. Joey Desu going forward onto him. Klepto, huge knockup, knocking up 4 members. And here comes Skiz from the back line, trying to narrow him down. And Games in My Hand just sits there because he knows there's nowhere for him to run. And that is 3 kills for free coming out.
Yeah, and there's that huge AoE teamfight capabilities we talked about with Ornor, Cassio R, Wukong R, and Poppy was not there at the beginning of the game, or at the beginning of the fight, to stop the engagement from happening. And we see, a huge plays from Joey Desu on the Orn with his knockups as we look for this Baron. Poppy may be looking for a miracle steal here. Decides
getting
against
closer. Klepto easily going to secure that Baron for his team.
Yeah, decides against it, and that's a huge swing for the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix, right? This game is starting to slip a little bit out of your hands. You got the second dragon, but it certainly felt like the pressure with the 3 towers on the side of Trigger Happy was starting to swing their way. And, you know, going down 0-2 in a series is never something you want. So being able to really bounce back with that team fight, get some control back in this game, you know, this is really good looking to the future. You know, we have the lead here, and, you know, let's see if we can use this Baron effectively. We do have 3rd Dragon for the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix potentially coming up here. 4th Dragon in the game. You know, if we're able to go get the 3rd Dragon, as we do see Joey Desu.
They're just trying to chunk out Ishan here. Hook goes a little bit wide, and Epic Fail Guy, you know, with his Triforce completed and this Murmana completed as well, so much damage coming out from each of these Qs.
Yeah, and, you know, Joey Desu is really kind of manning up on the Orin. You know, very, very much a ham. As Klepto's kind of caught out.
Klepto's kind of caught out here. He goes for the knock-up. Exhaust coming down. Tempered Fate is huge. Locks down Troll the Noob and Games in My Hand. But then Games in My Hand is going to pick up the kill on a Klepto. Really good hook coming out. Cleanse forced out from Epic Fail Guy. Trying to make sure he doesn't get picked off here. So much damage. Epic Fail Guy picks up the kill onto Troll the Noob. And now we're locked down. And bottom user's going to get taken down as well. And there goes Ishan. 4 kills for 1 for Glacial Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, and, you know, we're hitting the 22, you know, 49 mark here, and it's really looking good for the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix now. They got the Baron. They're going to pick up this 3rd Dragon for the, you know, 2nd Mountain. All these resistances really starting to add up, and we just see these huge team fights going the way of Glacial Rising Phoenix. They have the AoE team fight comp, and, you know, the Poppy, you know, we've seen some good plays from Poppy, but in these team fights is just unable to keep alive the immobile Ashe and the immobile Xerath, like I talked about pregame. You know, if they're able to actually get on these immobile carries, they're going to blow them up. They just have to be able to get on them.
So who are you looking for to kind of be that rock for Trigger Happy? Who needs to step up and kind of assist here with Games in My Hand and Mayeki trying to, you know, maintain that tempo? Who has to be that one to step up and help them out?
Troll the Noob needs to kind of step up this game in the sense, like, you know, last game he was super impactful with his roams. This game, his lanterns honestly need to be impactful, right? He doesn't necessarily have to start off these fights. Obviously, if you're getting a pick on Cassio, it's really good. But the way it's looking right now, it's looking like they're going to push with Baron, and they're going to look to tower dive you. So you have to be able to kind of lantern, you know, one of your carries out of this AoE chain CC combo and keep them alive. You know, keep the Xerath alive.
Now. Tempered Fate is going to stop the damage from Ishan, but here comes the Ornhorn as he goes forward. It goes wide, unable to pick up anybody.
Yeah, and overall, not the worst. Pretty good for Trigger Happy. You know, they get the Ornn ult, they get the Bard ultimate out, and they haven't lost any members, and they're still defending their tower. Baron buff is now gone, and Xerath has enough HP to maybe wave clear this. But with Games in My Hand backing, they decide against it, as Troll the Noob hits a really nice hook, kind of predicting the Wukong clone. But like, without Games in My Hand there, it's just no fight. Not looking to fight yet.
Joey Desu taking a little bit of the outside track there, trying to see how many members would respond. And with that, they're going to pick up a pretty free red buff over for Epic Fail Guy.
Yeah, we do see the Trinity Fusion completed for the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix. You know, the huge power spike coming in for the Ezreal in terms of the amount of stats he gets. Certainly more value than a Frozen Fist upgrade. But I do think the armor still could have been important. But, you know, with the way this game is looking, the only real damage threat I'm seeing is the Xerath, and if they're able to continuously get on him, then the armor's not going to help anyways, right? Xerath's poke is magic damage. If you get on him, you're killing him. And the way this game is looking, right, we have Baron in a minute. We have Dragon in 2 minutes. We're going to have to see, can Glacial Rising Phoenix, you know, make a move into this mid and top side jungle and get some deep vision down ready for this Baron.
So now we see the vision lines set up. You have a lot of the Glacial Rising Phoenix vision is more stationed around the top side of the map, whereas you have a lot more of the Trigger Happy vision stationed around the mid and inside track going towards both objectives, trying to kind of, you know, narrow down those movement paths for both teams. You know, Games in My Hand is just continuously trying to get a little bit of an advantage against Klepto, taking away camps. But I think a really good performance is coming out right now from Joey Desu and Klepto to provide that disruption and chain their CC very well in these team fights. And that's what I'd like to see moving forward into these next couple minutes, or actually this next 30 seconds to a minute, as they get ready to lock in on this Baron and this upcoming Mountain Soul.
Yeah, we're going to have to see where their priorities lie. It looks like they're going for a really, kind of pick on the Poppy. And if they're able to get this pick's going to set up quite a bit.
Horn coming out, he's able to lock him down. Maeki is going forward, trying to see what kind of distance he can create, but Klepto with the amazing CC coming out is going to take him down, and he's not able to take the Lantern to safety.
It is a good pick, but they did use both Ornn and Wukong ult to kill the Poppy. And that's half of Poppy's job in these fights, is to keep those two people off her carries. But without the Poppy here, you don't really have a front line. The tower will go down, but we see Games in My Hand.
Games in My Hand is sneaking around, trying to maybe look for this Drake.
I almost said Graves in My Hand because he keeps picking this champion. If he picks it third game, he's just going to be Graves in My Hand from now on, because that's the champ he's playing. But we're going to have to see if they prioritize waiting for the mountain, which I think is definitely the play at this point. There's no real pressure for the Baron to go down. And, something we haven't really talked about is how quickly Glacial Rising Phoenix can do a Baron. We're looking at Cassiopeia with Leandre's finished. That champion melts Barons. And Trigger Happy's moving towards the Baron, but with how low Games in My Hand is and Bard's tunnel ability to get there, it's very dangerous, as Ornn's going to go ahead and TP early.
And he's going to try to cut off this outside track. His Games in My Hand's now running for his life, trying to see if he can get away. Maybe even just going for the quick execute here, trying to just stall the way back. And there it is, the execute over for Games in My Hand.
Their jungler going down, that should be Baron going over to the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix. I mean, Poppy does have ult, so there is chance for some random miracle steal, but it is unlikely.
And just like that, the Baron and the Mountain Soul secured.
Man, that was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, though. That Baron dropped to like 497. That was close. But we did see the secure coming out, and Games in My Hand is still dead. So the side of Trigger Happy still looking at this 4v5, and now you have no Poppy ult, as Tempered Fate does come out, unable to connect with anybody.
The Xerath ult trying to be used to just clear some of this way, but with the Baron protection on these minions, they're just so tanky for magic damage right now.
Yeah, and Joey Desu, a little BM with the recall, backing right in front of their face, knowing he can't die. We'll see a full reset coming out, but I really want to see Glacial Rising Phoenix pressure with this Baron in the next 2 to 3 minutes and really look to win the game in these next couple minutes, because all it takes is gonna take one good fight, one tower dive to win the game. We do see Ninja Tabby plus Phantom Dancer coming out for the side of Games in My Hand. However, I think his biggest problem has almost been the Cassiopeia, right? The ground, just the sheer amount of damage coming out from Skiz this game is really threatening him.
I have to agree. Skiz is doing so much damage in these team fights, and with his grounding ability, he's been able to lock down the Poppy as well as lock down this Graves, as he's just trying to get all over the place, but he's just not able to move, as Skiz is doing his job creating that disruption and locking them down so they can't escape or go forward.
Yeah. And, this game has been much better for Glacial Rising Phoenix than Game 1, right? We see a more traditional support coming out. They protected Skiz a little better. And while I love Joey Desu's Gangplank, actually picking this tank frontline in Ornn is showing so much more value. And I really wish we had seen this from Game 1. Because Game 1 they had me wondering who they were and what they did with Glacial Rising Phoenix. And this has certainly been a good bounce back game. As we see with the Baron buff, they're looking to push in, trying to break open this mid inhibitor. And we do see Klepto actually the one in the bot side, but because of this he does have a flank angle should he choose to start a fight.
And Joey Desu trying to go in, but he was forced away by the Flay, as well as Maeki ability to stop all kinds of dashes within that area. But now he's looking to go back forward and create some space, maybe get a little bit of damage off on this team. But now they're going in hard onto Joey Desu. Joey Desu's life's going to be saved by that Tempered Fate. We'll see for how long. And a big damage coming through from Skiz and Epic Fail Guy. And now the Ornn Horn's coming through. Skiz moving forward, picks up the double kill, and now Mayeki's trying to run away for his life and trying to knock people back, but it's just a little bit too late, and Glacial Rising Phoenix is just marching into the base of Trigger Happy.
And that should be game 2, going to the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix. We got a series on our hands, Foster Boy. We got a series. We're not going down 0-2.
Are they going to pad the KDA? No, they're just going to finish the game off, and game 2 to Glacial Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, and after game 2, we now have the 1-1 for Glacial Rising Phoenix. And, we saw, like I was saying, a more standard for them coming out. And just really well played. They got behind early. And with how game 1 went, once they got behind in that mid game, it was a little scary. We saw the first game, they had a lead, and then they threw it all away, kind of. They kind of got out pressured. And in this game, we talked about the Rift Herald, the second Rift Herald they got. We talked about Bardolt stopping it, and we saw them not only stop second Rift Herald, but turn that momentum right around into a huge teamfight win. And they never let the game go once they got that huge teamfight win.
And I'm really happy to see them shift over to a more traditional Glacial Rising Phoenix team comp. You have Xylandis on a more traditional support. You have Skiz on his very strong, carry mages, and then Joey Desu on that really strong frontline pick, like his Ornn, like his Mordekaiser. And they were just able to play to their strengths, allow Epic Fail Guy to scale up and allow him to get his items he needed. And with that, they secured game 2.
Yeah, that's a big bounce back game from Skiz from 0-7 to 8-2. So huge turnaround for them. The momentum in this series just got halted, and I'm very, very excited to see what this game 3 brings. Can Trigger Happy bounce back, or will Glacial Rising Phoenix continue the momentum? Stay tuned to find out. We're going to take a quick break before game 3, and we'll be right back with you guys.